Good afternoon and welcome to the Publisher Circle at Jakarta Content Week. Publisher is a global community of female publishing leaders who are working together to do something about the gender imbalances in the publishing industry. While publishing employs more women than men, we still are aware of the fact that the boardrooms of publishing companies are predominantly full of men. And Publisher is trying to do something about that. The Publisher Circle is a new kind of conversation where the speakers engage with each other directly in a naturally evolving discussion. My name is Arpita Das, and I'm the founder and publisher of Yoda Press, an independent publishing house located in India. And today I'm joined by three fantastic book women from three different countries. I'll start with the home territory by introducing Rosidayati Rosalina, known as Ida, who is the president of the Indonesian Publishers Association and also runs her own publishing company called PT Mekar Sipta Lestari. I hope I got that right. Welcome, Ida. Next up, we have Caroline Fortin from Canada. As well as being on the board of Publish Her, Caroline is vice president and publisher at the Quebec Amérique Group. Welcome, Caroline.
Welcome.
Moving on to our third guest, we have Lina Shebaro Aga, who is Lebanese but living in the UAE. Lina is development manager at Arab Scientific Publishers and a food stylist. Welcome, Lina. Welcome to you all, and my thanks also to the audience for joining us. Now, we are going to be talking today about the publishing industry around the world and, of course, the crucial role that women play in it. But before we get into that, I wanted to pose an icebreaker question, which you can all pose back to me so that it will not be unfair. I can promise that. So my question to you all is, have you ever taken a sick day when you weren't unwell and gone on to do more interesting stuff that day? Anyone? Caroline, we start with you.
I sure did often, almost every year. On the day of
Wow.
my birthday, I often, you know, go off and do stuff that normally I would never do. I give myself that day. Yeah,
And what can I ask? Can I be a little more nosy and ask what do you do that day?
mostly shopping. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's great. That's super. Retail therapy.
Yeah, a retail therapy, and just it's often I go. Some years I did go for spa day or things like that. But yeah, it's my favorite day of the year.
Nice, nice.
Good
What
for you.
about you, Ida?
Yes, I have. I don't remember exactly when that happened. I must have been very tired at that time, and I need to rest for a while or do something fun for myself, such as having massage
Nice.
or, or just relax at home, keep away from cell phone or for short period of time, something like that.
What
But
about you? Yeah. Sorry, Ida. What were you
yeah,
saying?
yeah, but I remember that I did something bigger than that when I was working at a bank. When I was pregnant, my husband had the opportunity to have training in the US, and I got facilities to visit with some luxurious, yeah, something luxurious facility like getting business class flight ticket and also the accommodation and cost of living. I was eager to go to America to accompany my husband, and I asked the doctor to give me a sick letter um, because I was not feeling well at my second pregnancy. But the doctor was reluctant to provide me a sick letter because he did not find anything wrong with my health. And finally, I resigned from
Oh,
the
gosh.
company and
That's the
went
worst.
to follow my husband to the US. But
Wow.
But fortunately, after I returned, two of my former bosses called me. One offered me a work after I gave birth, while the other asked me to work immediately. So I took the second one, only about 3 months of works, and then I took maternity leave.
Nice.
So for me, yeah, it was fun to accompany my husband to go to the US, then work when I was pregnant at that time.
And Tina, you?
Yeah, for me, before Corona times, of course. Now Corona times, we just run to the office. We're happy to be at the office facility. Maybe during summer times, I would just skip and go to the beach. Happy suntan, relax.
Wow, that sounds fantastic.
Yes, of course, and swim. But also, during book fairs, for example, Bologna, you spend the first day, second day, the third day, you have to go around and see the city. For example, during Sharjah Book Fair, which I missed this year, I would definitely skip a day and go to the beach too, because they have amazing, amazing seas. During book fairs, I always do it. Have one day for myself.
You're right. It's
That's
a
it.
great thing to do.
Yeah, of course. and shopping. Bologna
Yeah.
and London for sure. Shopping.
Yeah, I think I used to have when I was before I started Yoda Press, when I was still working, I shan't name which company because that'll give it away to some people here who might be watching. I had a terrible boss. And so there were a lot of sick days at that time. And I must say, what I did every time was go off with friends to watch movies. So I watched some really nice movies at that time.
Mhm.
And I felt really like I felt like, yeah, I'm giving it back where she deserves it, you know. Yeah, yeah, I did quite a bit of that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
yeah,
nowadays it's harder. Nowadays it's harder
Yeah.
nowadays
to
it's
have
harder because of coronavirus, of course, but also remember what we were discussing the other day that once you start running your own
your
offices,
own. Exactly. It would be harder.
don't, right? Even when you're
Exactly.
sick, you work.
Exactly.
Isn't that what you were saying too, Caroline?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a 7 day, 24 hours a day, really, because
Yeah.
you never know what can happen. But that's there's good part of honing your business. You can make decision for yourself, but the bad part is the worry and the constant thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mhm.
So great. Thank you, everyone, for answering that so frankly and, sharing something personal with all of us, with the audience as well. I want to move to a more serious question. And then, of course, like the format of publisher demands, we'll open it up and make it more sort of discussive and conversational between all of us. But I think the one thing that I want to really start off by posing to all of you is to think of a little bit about the concern, for instance, that the United Nations is showing right now for the fact that the limited progress that has been made as far as gender equality is concerned, being pushed back in these, strange, unprecedented times of COVID. And within the publishing industry, what are you all thinking of to make sure that doesn't happen within your spheres of influence? Is it something that is worrying you? Are you thinking of taking steps to make sure it doesn't happen? Are you already taking steps to make sure that doesn't happen? Should we start with you, Lena?
For us, sadly, I live in Beirut, Lebanon. We have two, um, two, two publishing houses. One is Arab Scientific Publishers, which is based in Beirut, Lebanon, and the other is Thaqafa, which is based in Abu Dhabi, UAE. Here in Beirut, Lebanon, we are so far, so far of this dream of even considering this gender equality. We have major issues, economic, as I said, as I mentioned. Here, even if a woman has much higher degrees, accomplishments, works more, still the men get better salaries and better opportunities. So there is no comparison, COVID or not, still we have major problems. No, we are far from even thinking about this. So COVID didn't really have an impact on this because we don't have it still. We don't have this equality. We are far from this issue.
Caroline, do you want to add to that?
Well, I'm wondering, what are the steps for gender equality? What are the steps, depending where you are in a different path. I think I'm listening to you, Lina, and I'm like, what can be done for this situation to evolve? Small, nothing happens overnight. It's always small steps towards. And if I look at where I live, I think talking is the biggest thing. It's I've started in the past few years in my publishing house promoting a lot of books about, feminism and yes, gender equality, and we've published books about women at home and trying to figure out how a couple that different that the two are working, how do you come to an equality of work in your home? So that's one example of what we've done in publishing. But I'm wondering, what are the steps? And I don't know. And Lina, I'm wondering if you have an idea how you can, what can be done in your country or where you are to move towards something that is more equal.
In my country, there are, as I said, there is major problems. This is the last on the list. First, you have to deal with divorced women getting any penny from the husband while raising her children from the government. You have the retired people not getting any money after they work for 20, 30 years. Yeah. So we are far away from this dream.
So I guess the COVID won't do anything worse. It just
Exactly.
It will stall the evolvement of things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We have a corrupt society. We have a corrupt government. We have major issues. So we have a long way to go.
And what the UN is doing, I have no.
Yes, there are definitely. There is now women in who are trying to do organizations and even pushing in the government. As I told you, we have major problems. We have we have the currency inflammation. What's called it?
Inflation.
Yes. So we have chaos. We have safety issues still here. So
it's not an easy time.
Exactly.
Ida, what about you? What do you think about what the steps could be that could be taken to make sure that women are not left behind in this situation?
I'm not sure. I don't have any issues with gender inequality, so I can't talk much about that. Maybe some years ago, yeah, in my when I was a kid, yes, my father treated me different daughter with different with a son. But nowadays we, yeah, at least in my circle, we don't have any gender inequalities. But maybe just like a constraint inside the women that they feel uh, and they feel not as good as men, something like that. And maybe the demand for a woman it's higher than a man. For example, women should have cook and also um, um, yeah, doing anything multitasking. But besides that, I think in Indonesia, in Jakarta especially, yeah, because I live in Jakarta now, I think we don't have any issues with gender inequality. So I can't say too much about that. Maybe in some other region, yeah. But for me, in my uh, um, circle, I think it's okay for now. And I think we can do more about because we are publisher. We can publish more books related to women. Um, there's a lot of important issues about women that can be written and discussed. And I think, um, I'm not sure I answer your question, but I think we can do something with even in the time in the middle of pandemic. We can like have something like this, yeah, organize a webinar series to discuss women issues, their perspective, existences, their hopes, yeah, in facing global communities. Am I answering your question? I'm not
Yeah,
sure. Sorry.
I was just wondering. I mean, it's actually quite amazing and fabulous to hear someone from Southeast Asia and South Asia, for countries in Southeast Asia and South Asia not having this as a major issue, because of course where I come from, the whole world knows this is a massive, massive, massive behemoth of an issue. And we're constantly worried about women's place in the publishing industry, and where it's going to be with or without coronavirus. I mean, even though there are more women in the publishing industry in India, frankly, like in most parts of the world, CEOs are mostly men. Mostly, there are a few who are women. But
Oh,
an interesting thing, I don't know, Caroline, I wonder what you think about this. One of the interesting things that have arisen out of this COVID situation is that with all the emphasis on work from home, in a sense, it's more flexible for women now. For working moms, particularly, it's sort of a more organic atmosphere for working, perhaps. And my hope is that remains.
Well, at least have the opportunity to do so if you need to. That's the major thing that I realize with my team is, well, I have mostly 80% of my workforce is women. And I realize that I'm going to have to be open minded after when we, in terms of letting everyone maybe do their schedule around with some kind of home working, which is fine because it's working all right. But it does bring a lot of reflection on how we live our lives. And I had employees that spent an hour and a half in the morning to come to work, an hour and a half at night to go back. I think, yeah, it's a waste of time, those 3 hours, if they can do their job from home. and then accomplish more in their personal life because they have had that extra time. And I guess, yeah, I'm open to it, and and that's in a sense. I know some of my colleague publishers are men that they don't really want to go back to. They want everybody at the office. They want, and but I think you have to be open to evolving work into a situation where it's easier to be done in manage. In terms of, I just want to say, in terms of gender equality, I think it's a vast subject, and if you look at publishing, I agree that we have a lot to do to change up the way we think, also the way we see. I think the biggest challenge to my part is knowing that I'm never going to think like a man, and when I am sitting on boards, when I'm the only woman, it's very hard for me to comprehend everything that happens because there is a lot of different ways of thinking. And I think the challenge is to make men understand that women don't lead the same way, and we'll never be able to lead in the same way. So to understand that it's a different
That's right.
perspective on leadership.
Okay.
Now, you wanted to add something there? I could see you nodding
So true.
vehemently.
Exactly. I agree 100%. We are different. We think different. 100%. I agree with what Caroline said. And we should help in the publishing. Exactly. To help a woman know that they are different. It's not gender equality. It's not equality that if you work the same hours, you should be paid the same. You should be have the same position, but you are not the same. As the man, you cannot think the same. You have different ways um, of applying your work, of doing your work, of um, of working at home. As you say, we can maybe accomplish more if 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 the woman is a mother of small kids. We are more multitaskers, as everybody know. So it's a different approach. That's it. Uh, there should be equality, but we are different ways of thinking, different ways of applying that job, of doing the work. That's what I believe.
Yeah, it's leading towards acceptance of our
The
difference
other,
mostly.
yes, 100.
I don't think it's women getting into the workforce or getting on a board and acting like a man. I think
Mhm.
that is not possible it's not possible in the long term, you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
So
True.
yeah.
Not advisable either, isn't it? I mean, because I do know there are some women who do precisely that, who join board, who will once she's on the board, she'll start talking
Like,
like the men on the board, and then I wonder what's the point,
yeah.
right? Because what was special that you could have brought to the situation is lost. And
It's but mainly, I think, women fear not to be accepted, also not to feel that it's difficult to get on the board and you're the only woman on it. That's like, or the very few women on it. It's difficult to make your space and to be able to contribute to this board in a way that will feel good to yourself. But I guess, yeah, that's another challenge, having to deal with women that do not want to remain themselves.
Mhm.
That's
I was just wondering if this unprecedented time right now, which is causing so much work to happen from home, and hopefully in many, many homes, men and women are working together and running the homes, taking care of the children, and also doing their office work at separate desks, perhaps for the first time, and seeing each other in that space. Maybe finally it'll, make more and more managers understand that the number of hours that you swipe for is not the important thing, but the productivity, that comes out of that working space is what's important, whatever the space may be. And in a sense, that is a gendered idea also, isn't it? Because so many women are, sort of sidelined or blindsided or overlooked because they are not able to put in hours in the same way. Uh, and maybe that will change. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I guess when you're a mother, you have to leave at one point.
Yeah.
And I've had friends that had to actually hide. They didn't work in publishing, thank God, but they had to hide. They had kids to be able to get to that higher job that they wanted, and they had to put in the hours and hide the fact that they had kids because they were scared that it would actually prevent them from getting that top job. So I think it's a perpetual uh, battle, I would say. Gender equality, I think, will never be completely done in our time. I believe. I don't want to be pessimistic, but I think we need to be working towards it.
Working hard.
Um, Ida, I wanted to just, kind of get you into the conversation. And of course, we're all supposed to just chat with each other here. So tell us, Ida, I mean, if in your space where you feel that there is a certain, status of women, which is sort of um, recognized, and it is sort of, respected and given cognizance. Um, give Taking that into consideration, what are you looking forward to in your industry? What do you think is going to happen um, in the near future?
Mm, um, maybe I'm insensitive in this in this subject because I feel confident. Yeah. So if you ask me in the near future, so I think it will be better. I'm the president of Association of Publisher in Indonesia. So I think I don't have any 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 reluctant, not reluctant, yeah, any mm, objection from the men, yeah, as long as I can prove my capability, my skill. I think it's okay. And I study in engineering, so I used to get along with men, so I don't feel any difference. So yeah, yeah. It depends on your background. It depends where you born, and it depends where your family culture or tradition. So I think. mm for me, especially in publishers, you know, another woman that from Indonesia, yeah, and also well known, yeah, yeah, like Laura, she's a woman also. So I think we don't have any gender inequality problem, yeah. Oh, for, but maybe in some other area or maybe in some other business. But my our last president in IKAPI also a woman. So yeah, once yeah, I think we don't. I can't talk I can't talk much about this. I'm afraid. Sorry,
But
Arvita.
you mentioned earlier that these are changes that you saw happening, that you've seen happening in your lifetime, right?
Sorry.
Um, you said earlier that these are changes you've seen happening in your lifetime.
Yes.
Uh, uh, can you tell us a little bit about what led to these changes?
Yeah. Uh, my parents, yes. My father uh, said to me when I was a child, she said that, Ida, you can't be a successor of this company because you have to follow what your husband said, something like that. But fortunately, I have a husband, um, uh, totally different with him. My husband at our home, like cooking. She always, I'm sorry, he always said that the best chef is a man. So
Wow.
yeah, and he loves cooking. I don't like cooking, something like that. So I think it depends. Yeah, it depends. Yeah, my father is a traditional man, but maybe my husband is modern man. So yeah, it depends where you live, uh, which one you married, and something like that, and where your circle, your sphere, something like that. It changed. Yeah, it changed like that because uh, I used to have parents that traditional, but now I'm happy with modern life that I got. I have a daughter who studied abroad. When I was a child, I cannot go abroad. I couldn't go abroad, study abroad. My father didn't allow me to study in foreign country, for example, something like that.
So you
Maybe, sorry?
For you.
so you
Yeah,
overcome something very, it's a long, you overcome quite a difficult situation and came
Yes,
to
yes, yes, yes. I just follow with the flow. So yeah, and I fortunate that the things change that way.
Mhm. Good for you because publishing means lots of time, lots of follow up for details from the printing through buying the rights, through publishing, through so details you have to follow up. So it's need your time and your efforts. So good that you have a helping husband, and it needs lots of traveling. So you,
yeah,
you really need an understanding partner for sure.
yeah. And I have a question. We all are, I mean, Lina and Ida,
Yeah,
we are the three of us. We are, I don't know for Arpita, but we are part of a publishing house that is a family publishing.
exactly.
We're part
I
of the
know.
family. So what is the
Yeah.
challenge you find being in the family publishing house and having, getting to a role where you're leading in your family? What are the challenges you have?
I told you before, as I mentioned, it was hard because especially when the president of the company and the one established the company is your father, and you are the daughter, and normally, and, the son who will follow up his father's steps. So you have to prove yourself more to show him that you can, as a woman, that you can do it, uh, that you can do the agreements, that you can follow up with this, that you can keep in mind everything, travel, fix it, talk to other cultures. I have we have a good market, good business with the Chinese, and I was even better than him. Honestly, I really enjoy talking to other cultures. I
Yeah.
love to know about other people, to see new countries, to understand their ways. So maybe this is what helped me, acquiring books from China and translated them to Arabic, acquiring from Russian, Icelandic even. I love the Icelandic people too. They are so nice. Um, I love book fairs. You know, what I feel that October is Frankfurt time. You know, end of October, November is Sharjah. Spring means Bologna and London. You feel that the season changed as the book first times, you know. It becomes your life. And when you follow up the book from acquiring the rights to follow up in translation, editing, page making, printing, to that publishing, the book becomes as if your baby. You did it from the first beginning until the end. All the efforts, all the book. So again, I feel publishing. It becomes in your blood. You know, you have to love it to work with it.
Yeah,
You know,
it,
this is
it has to be a
publishing.
passion,
Your
and
passion.
women we are
Exactly.
passionate.
This is the word. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, it
You
has to
have to
be
be
passion.
passionate about it. Yes, exactly.
But you still face the challenge with your father.
Less and less.
Yeah, yeah,
Really.
because you've shown yourself.
Yes. I
Yeah.
hate. I always use this word as just like Ida said, to prove myself, to prove myself. My children always tell me why you always use this word. Maybe because I am the daughter in a family business. I
Yeah.
always use the same word to prove myself.
We feel like imposters without wanting to, but it's embedded in who we are, and we need to fight against ourselves first before we can really make our space.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ida, now your father is you are you working with your father?
My father has passed away.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay, in 2013, 2013, and yeah, I'm the successor at the time. Finally, uh, I thought before that I was working in a bank, but when and there are crisis economy, I moved to business, and yeah, the big challenge at that time is because I'm professional or I'm a banker before, so I my way of thinking is different. The entrepreneur, yeah, because I'm a professional. So I think the biggest challenge is there, and also like sibling rivalry. Yeah, it's a yeah sibling rivalry because we are I have five two two sisters and three brothers, and my brother and my sister they work with my father earlier than me. They, so they know printing and they know publishing business better than me. So yeah, I think the biggest challenge is the way we run the business. It's different because I use the concept and then yeah, try to implement that concept in reality, while others yeah just follow what has been done before, something like that. But finally, I left my position in the family business because I moved to Jakarta when I'm when I was elected as a president of this association. I should almost every day I should be in Jakarta. So I moved to Jakarta because my family also in Jakarta. Then my brother now is president director of family business. But in the middle of the pandemic, I established my new publisher, my own publisher. Yeah, something like that. It's a new challenge, of course, because it's different with, but yeah, it's challenging. It's nice to be to do something based on, yeah, from the heart, from my heart, not only by the rules or by the uh, follow others, something like
Good.
that. So we are all in family business, like right? Uh,
I'm not actually. I started my own independent publishing house.
Good for
Um,
oh, you are the
yeah.
founder.
I mean, I used to work in publishing and then I left to start my own little publishing house back in 2005. And everybody said I was, doing something suicidal. And initially it really felt hard.
Hmm.
But yeah, I've survived too. So I guess, it's okay. But I can still understand a little bit of what you all are saying, because my father was also in the book industry, but we never worked together. He worked for another publishing house, and I first worked for other publishing houses and then started my own. And I think the first person who told me I'm doing something suicidal was him.
Hmm.
And then, of course, he was a few years later. He was very proud of the fact that I'd survived, and seemed to be doing all right. So it was a lot of what I'm hearing has resonance for me as well, but differently. But I was wondering, what would we all be doing if we were not in publishing? Any thoughts, Lena? If you were not in publishing, what would you be doing?
I remember when I finished my college degree in the same summer, my father took me to Frankfurt Book Fair. From then, from I was 21, and from then I started loving the books. Even before, when I was a kid, even my summers I used to spend going around the printing press, or maybe going, maybe taking some summer work, during work during the summer, just correcting, editing, typing. So I'm used to that. I'm my childhood, I always used to smell of the printing press inks, So I don't know any other business. That's it. That's it for me. I cannot imagine myself in any other work. My husband always tells me, I will do for you an NGO. I have to do an NGO to help the children. I don't know what. I told him, you have your daughter. Maybe she can help you. I have my own job. I'm fine with it. I don't need anything else. So I don't think I would. I have no idea what would I be doing. But in my work, I always try to help women. Maybe in the cookbooks, maybe in the pregnancy. I always try to choose titles that can help women self empower in any way. I like this field.
Yeah, what would you be doing if you were not in publishing?
Yes. Are you talking to Ida? Oh,
Yeah, I was asking Ida,
yeah.
what would
Oh,
she be doing if she?
I think I just want to be the housewife. Sorry,
Right.
but my dream when when I was working at the bank, and also when I work in Bandung, yeah, my family business, because yeah, when I was working at the bank, leave I had to leave my children, my kids. I can't I just meet them in the morning, and then saw them sleeping when I'm home, when I was home. So my dream is to I to have children with me. I was envy with mothers that don't have to work, something like that. But unfortunately, I can't be achieve my dream. I'm always I'm forced to be work, or someone push me to work and work again. So I think my dream staying in at the house, and then um, taking care of my grandchildren, maybe someday, something like that. But I'm
Caroline, what
satisfied
about you?
with what I'm doing now, and I love.
What about
Well,
you, Caroline?
well, pretty much like Lena, I've been born into it. But I studied to design. I was my dream would have been to be an architect, but at the same time,
Wow.
I've been in the publishing house for more than 30 years now, and I went to Bologna. I was 14. That's the
Wow.
that's the trip that changed my life, because I suddenly I just woke up to coffee and pasta and many things that look
Yeah.
very cool. And I love the book fairs, and I've spent my life in book fairs, and like you, Lena. And yes, I when I started at the publishing house, I was more interested into the international part of it,
Mhm.
and I worked really much on that. And um, till the day I think a few years back, I sort of thought, why am I in publishing? And I was asking myself when I get there, and you know, I started working just so I needed a job to pay the rent, and it evolved into a career. And I'm pretty much, I think it's embedded in my blood, really.
Yeah, book fairs have all meant a lot to all of us, I think. I mean, in my case, of course, my father used to go to Frankfurt every year. And of course, I used to help him pack. And then when he came back, when he'd return, there'd always be these crazy stories. But apart from that, we have this annual um, what's called the World Book Fair in Delhi, which earlier used to happen every 2 years. Now it happens every year. And I started going to that with my father when I started walking, apparently. So it's the same thing. I mean, it's like, you grow up with that sort of affinity
Hmm.
for the noise of books.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is just so special, and you can't think of anything else after that, really.
Yeah.
At one point I fancied I'd be a journalist, but that didn't materialize. I mean, I didn't even try. So yeah, I think I just had this fantasy, and then of course I joined publishing. But I was just wondering, with all of us now at a certain point in our careers, um, Caroline, of course, you and I are aware of this wonderful mentorship scheme that Publisher has begun, which hopes to mentor young women in publishing, and give them more of positive messages than many of us received, perhaps. Um, do you think we would have? I mean, I certainly would have um, loved it if benefited from such a scheme. What does it do? What does mentorship taken seriously, what can it do for young women in the industry, you think?
Well, I was lucky enough to have a few women as I to help me, other publishers. One actually that passed away a year ago, but she led a very nice house, and we bought a distribution uh, um, uh, company together to two publishers. And she opened up so much. She helped me so much in terms of how to hack, how to think, and she really can find. I think it is crucial to help one another, um, just to give ourselves some confidence. And I think that's the biggest issue in women today, is being confident that they're big enough, they know enough to perform their job, to do well. So I think mentorship, even if it's difficult sometimes. I'm trying really well to help them, but the most important is to make sure that they know that they have what it takes to do it. They have what it takes to, if you have the passion, you're going to be good in publishing, and if you have the will to work as well. So I don't know, I hope I'm clear on what I'm trying to convey here.
Nina, do you have any mentorship schemes there in Lebanon or in UAE? Are there any mentorship schemes apart from?
I believe maybe the Sharjah people did lots of um, uh, seminars with Oxford Brooks, and even with the other American, the number one publishing university in the States. They did a lot of seminars about publishing. I think in UAE they are doing, of course. Lebanon, no, a different story. We don't have anything like that. But we are lucky that we have Abu Dhabi Book Fair and Sharjah. They are helping a lot and doing seminars. Yes. Um, One more thing. For me, I did the masters, the online masters in publishing studies at Oxford Brooks. It really helped me. You feel more. You have all the knowledge about publishing. You have more knowledge. You have the power. You have all the little bit tricks, little bit self empowerment you didn't have, more than the family business. So for me, this is what I always do. I like to take more courses here and there. Now, social media, uh, advertisements, some more business. It's good to know more, to always advance in your work. You know, to take more courses and certificates. It's always not a bad idea.
I
Yeah.
agree.
And you did this quite recently, didn't you?
Yes,
The Oxford Brooks course.
now I just finished, waiting for the results.
I was just wondering, Ida, I don't know, what are your views on this? I mean, we have, of course, the publisher scheme is women mentoring women, as Caroline was saying. Um, do you think men should be mentoring women as well in the publishing industry, or women should be mentoring men as well? I don't know. I mean, any views on that?
Yeah. Again, I think I unstable. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it should be a woman to woman. I think it's a mix. It's okay. The most important to
Okay. I think we are
share
losing a
some
little
that
bit of what you're saying, Ida. Is it
for
just me?
others. Sorry. Oh,
I lost a little
okay.
bit of what you
I
said. I
think
don't know if that was for everybody or just my connection.
Everybody we didn't hear.
Um, yeah, so maybe she should just say it once more.
yeah.
Hear it, Lena? You could hear
Can
everything
you
she
hear
was
me?
saying?
No.
Yeah. Ida, could you just repeat that once?
Okay.
We,
Yeah.
we couldn't. Ida.
I think it is not we don't have to think about women and women to be a mentor, or men and men, or men and women. It's nothing to do with gender. For in my opinion. So it depends on the capacity of the mentor to share something that can give benefit to others, I think. So yeah, I don't think it's a mentorship. It is important to make some like a mentorship program only for women, for example. Yeah, for publisher, yeah, yeah. So
No, do you agree with that?
Lina,
Lena,
you're talking.
I was
Yes,
asking
yes,
you, yeah, do
yes.
you
Why
agree?
not? Yes, yes.
or
When there is a seminar or anything that helps publishers, everybody. Yes.
I just feel that, there are lots of, because there are the problems that exist in our industry. And of course, there is a point to the whole, there is a reason why women are not in decision-making roles. I mean, um, I suppose for that reason, older women, senior women should step forward and, mentor and make avenues possible for younger women not to face those challenges. That is my thinking about this. Caroline, would you agree?
Yeah, I think even I think it's a great way. I need more women in those board meetings I have. So
Yeah.
we need to slowly, empower women to want to go in that on those position and want to work towards, a managerial role in the publishing house.
And to not look for approval, or and not to wait to be told now it's your chance, but to
Yeah.
go and do it, because I
Yeah.
think, it's been proven over and over again that, considering more editorial roles are held by women,
Mhm.
perhaps it'll be a much more organic decision making process that will emerge out of more women sitting on the board, if they are also, more closely connected with the decisions that are going into what is being published. Do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, I believe. And I know from where I am in Canada, most of the readers are women. So it's
Wow.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it
In India too, statistically, there are more women readers. Yeah.
yeah. So I think it makes more sense for to have an equal number of women in the decision role. I think
Mhm.
I think men and women have to learn to work together and appreciate our differences.
Yeah, absolutely. I was also wondering, I mean, um, during the pandemic, I don't know, has anyone come across new, I mean, surprising new projects during the pandemic? I mean, because of the pandemic, have you ended up doing something that you thought you wouldn't be doing? I mean, I, for one, for instance, started running workshops for authors and editors, online workshops, which has been really which have been really successful, more successful than now. I have to think of this more cinema. Sorry, yeah, Caroline.
We lost you a little bit there.
Yes.
That's the thing. You were cutting off a little bit.
Sorry, I'm
But
so sorry.
that's
Can you hear me
fine.
now? Yeah, I was just asking, has anyone else sort of been forced to, what's the
Yeah,
word, improvise?
I guess we all are, but the video part of it, I think I'm gonna get tired of it at one point. But I agree with that there is opportunities to meet to do new stuff. I've realized that more and more people are writing on my publishing. Will receive a lot more proposal because people took the time to write. um but yeah, it's just I guess it depends how long COVID will last, because I think there is in front of us a lot of opportunity to reinvent a bit the way we work and the way we engage.
Um, Sorry, can you hear me? I'm so sorry. Connectivity is just busted. Can
Yes,
you guys hear me?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So sorry about this. Okay, last word. So just picking up from what Caroline said about how we have to reinvent the way we work in some ways. Ida, Lena, some last thoughts about how things are going to change after this time for the industry?
What changed is that for this year, the one we participate the for Beijing Book Fair, we had to do the online, everything online. This was the new thing. It was more work because when you attend the book fair, you just travel. Now you have to present the publishing house more. We have to do more work to upload more books, to make sure that we put all the info about the book. So it was more work like this to present the publishing house more at the online book fair. If it was either Beijing Book Fair or Frankfurt Book Fair, um, it was a new to us how to approach it, how to download everything. That took more time, and then uh, how to find a new publishing houses, um, how to acquire new books, how to find them, then how to do the Zoom meetings. So it was more work because of not having physical book fairs. What changed also, maybe we did a lot of books on COVID-19. We did samples for free for ebooks for free about the COVID. Uh, that's it. It's more about the video calls, which I hope also that it will be finished and we can see people physically. We can't have it physically, and we can finish from that. Yeah,
Meet
that's
in
it.
person.
But something,
Yeah.
for example, we are participating maybe, for example, this conference here that we did. I should have been in charge of book fair, you know. Um, I'm exploring new sites that new field I didn't do before. Before it was always running, traveling between this country and this country. Now, no, maybe no, I should know the publisher people, more. Maybe uh, the the Facebook book also, Publishers Without Borders. Now
Without
I'm knowing
borders.
that people, yeah, yeah. Uh, Maybe you're more stable and you are more focused more about what's happening around, not just jumping from one country to the other. This is what's different.
But that's a lovely thought, actually, that we are part of a network.
Yes, I
This
I
the
feel it
sense
now
of
more.
being part
Yes,
of a community, even.
exactly,
The support.
exactly. Sure.
Yeah, it's a lovely thought. Ida, what do you think changes in this time which you think are going to remain even after this year? Do you think there's anything more that is going to remain? New
Yeah, I
things
think
that we have experienced?
in the pandemic, and yeah, I think we can, yeah, the change is we can do a lot of things from home. So we can write like this. We have a webinar, and also we can run a virtual edition for a book fair. IKP just did it. Um, uh, organizing Indonesia International Book Fair virtual edition, and we collaborate with Marketplace, so everyone can buy books 24 hours, 7 days, increase the sales of the publishers. I think the change will remain even after the pandemic ended. Yeah, I think the webinar, selling through the marketplace, and also selling the digital books. The tips, the pirated books, and the effect that
Yeah, Ida, I think we are losing you a little bit again. Yeah, actually, I also wanted to say, oh dear, oh gosh, I hope she joins back, just to say goodbyes, because we are all up. The time's up, and I know there have been all kinds of connectivity issues, but when I hope the audience appreciates the fact that we get, the four of us together to get us together, one person from Canada, one person from UAE, one person from Indonesia, another person from India, apart from all the sort of time zones. I think it's a fairly crazy project, and we managed to do that and talk for 1 hour, which is not a bad thing, despite all the connectivity issues. And the lighting in my part improved radically as well, which is wonderful. So I don't look like I'm sitting in a cave, which is wonderful. But it's really been wonderful talking to all of you. Ida, we're going to wrap up. And I was saying, however difficult the connectivity, it's been wonderful talking to all of you. And I hope the audience enjoys the conversation as much and appreciates the differences and yet the sense of solidarity that pervades this discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Mengawali hari dengan informasi terkini, menjadi sumber referensi dan inspirasi di setiap aktivitas. Melalui news video portal, segala informasi dapat disajikan cepat, akurat dan lengkap. Dengan kekuatan teknologi digital, Maidcom.id hadir dengan berita pilihan yang dikemas secara menarik. Maidcom.id, digitally inspire people.
Sudah 15 menit, masih kejebak macet.
Tenang. Daripada emosi, 15 menit Anda jadi lebih berharga kalau bersama saya.
15 Minutes, setiap Rabu, jam 6 sore lewat 45 menit. Mediaindonesia.com hadir dengan opini cerdas dan narasumber kredibel, mudah diakses, informasi berkualitas ada di genggaman Anda. Klik di browser Anda www.mediaindonesia.com dan temukan pandangan berbeda, karena fakta bisa sama, sudut pandang boleh beda. Mediaindonesia.com, views and news.
Dalam setiap denyut kota, saya selalu menjadi saksinya. Disiarkan lebih dari 20 televisi jaringan JAWA Post Group.
Japos TV paling Indonesia.
Kebebasan pers dan gelombang era digital menghadirkan ribuan bahkan jutaan informasi dan data setiap harinya. Beragam data dan informasi berserak di berbagai tempat seiring dengan perubahan dunia yang bergerak begitu cepat. Media-media baru pun bermunculan, namun kualitas informasi seolah tak lagi menjadi prioritas. Bahkan, tak sedikit yang abai pada etika jurnalisme. Untuk menjawab tantangan itu, Kata Data hadir sejak April 2012 sebagai portal media di bidang ekonomi dan bisnis. Beragam sektor diulas mulai dari finansial, energi, pangan, hingga industri kreatif dan digital. Artikel mendalam dan komprehensif dengan sajian infografik yang menarik menjadi karakter utama dari Kata Data. Kata Data berikhtiar untuk terus menyajikan beragam informasi berkualitas untuk kemajuan negeri dan untuk kepentingan bisnis Anda. Kami percaya demokrasi yang sehat tumbuh dari kehadiran informasi dan data yang akurat.
Kalau bicara pakai data.
Hidup terlalu pendek untuk membiarkan pemikiran-pemikiranmu, ide-idemu terdiam begitu saja. Untuk berubah, kita perlu melangkah. Dan langkah itu lahir dari sebuah inspirasi. Republika, start moving.